Stop right there. Show me your ID. Now.
I'm entering my workplace. What's the legal basis for this stop?
You don't move unless I say. Step back. Hands where I can see them.
I'm not resisting. You're blocking a federal entrance without...
Stop right there. Show me your ID. The command cuts sharply through the early morning air outside a federal office building. Flashing red and blue lights paint the marble steps and glass doors in alternating hues. Footsteps echo from nearby sidewalks. A distant siren hums. The man halts mid-step. He is tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a tailored suit that speaks of authority and discipline. Polished shoes tap against the stone entryway. His posture is straight, calm, deliberate. "Officer, I am entering my workplace," he says evenly. "You are blocking the entrance. I am requesting the legal basis for this stop." The officer's jaw tightens. His hands hover near his belt, signaling readiness. "You do not move unless ordered. Step back, now." The man tilts his head slightly, observing cataloging. Across the street, a security camera flickers. A phone screen glows in the hands of a passerby. "I am not resisting. I am asserting my rights. This is my building. My authority is documented. My presence is lawful." The officer's voice rises. "You are not in charge here. Comply or face consequences." Nearby, another officer shifts his stance. They have a pattern, a routine that rarely encounters someone who refuses to submit silently. The streets have witnesses now. Phones record the interaction. Tension coils in the air. The man inhales slowly, steadying himself. He meets the officer's gaze without aggression. Every second, every gesture, every word will become part of the record. The ordinary morning quiet and procedural has escalated into a confrontation. Authority is being asserted without justification. Observation and patience are being tested. No one present knows yet that this is the director of federal law enforcement. All they see is a black man standing his ground, blocked from entering his own workplace. And that is exactly where this story begins. The man at the entrance is not an ordinary employee. His name is Daniel Carter, 50 years old, born in a small town in Alabama, raised by a single mother who worked nights in a textile factory. His father left before he could form memories. Life was tough. Lessons were strict. Education was a lifeline. Daniel learned early the value of authority and respect. He studied hard, excelled academically, earned scholarships, and eventually went to law school. Every step of the way, he understood how systems worked, how power could protect or oppress. He rose through the ranks of federal law enforcement, working high-profile cases involving organized crime, corruption, and civil rights violations. Eventually, he became the director of a major federal law enforcement agency, responsible for hundreds of officers and complex operations nationwide. His knowledge of the law and procedure was unmatched. Meanwhile, the officer blocking him, Thomas Blake, 36, had a different path. Grew up in a military household. Father instilled rigid rules. He joined the police believing that authority was order and questioning it was chaos. 9 years on the force, known for aggressive stops, a few complaints dismissed as minor, but a consistent pattern of escalating encounters. Blake's mindset: control is everything. Compliance is obedience. Resistance, even calm reasoning, is a challenge to his authority. He had responded this way before with minor incidents, nothing serious, always dismissed. But here he was confronting someone who would not be intimidated, someone whose career was built on enforcing the law correctly. Daniel Carter understood immediately what he was seeing. The posture, the angle, the tone, all signs of overreach. He had prosecuted similar cases. He knew the consequences of a moment's misjudgment. Two worlds collide, one built on legal knowledge, authority, and systemic oversight, the other on instinct, control, and bias. And now that collision was happening at the main entrance of a federal building. The street outside the federal building is quiet, but tension vibrates through the air. Daniel Carter stands tall, his hands relaxed at his sides, eyes scanning the officers blocking his path. Officer Blake steps closer, voice firm. "You need to stop right there. Show me your ID." "I have already identified myself," Daniel replies evenly. "I am entering my workplace. Explain the reason for this stop." Blake frowns, interpreting calm professionalism as defiance. He gestures subtly, signaling for backup. Another officer arrives, positioning himself slightly to the side. Across the street, a security camera rotates. One neighbor steps onto their porch, phone in hand. Another watches from a window, whispering, "This doesn't look right." Daniel remains steady, cataloging every movement. Every gesture, every word spoken will become part of the record. He knows how bias works and how easily authority can be misapplied. "Step aside," Blake says sharply, voice rising. Daniel tilts his head, studying the stance of the officers. "I am not resisting. I am requesting lawful justification. The officers exchange glances. Their faces tighten. The crowd, even small, even mostly hidden, is beginning to witness the confrontation. Phones are recording. Every command, every hesitation, every subtle motion is captured. Blake's patience thins. You are challenging my authority, he warns. Daniel's voice remains calm, precise. I am asking only for the law to be applied correctly. Standing in front of me, blocking my entrance, is not lawful. The crowd grows slowly. A few more neighbors appearing, observing from a distance. The tension is not yet physical, but the psychological pressure is mounting. The ordinary morning is transformed into a scene where authority meets legal knowledge, where bias confronts experience, and both sides sense that the next few moments will define the entire encounter. The officer's stance hardens. Blake steps directly in front of Daniel Carter, blocking his path. His hand rests near his belt, the other brushing lightly against his radio, signaling readiness. Daniel remains calm. Officer, you are obstructing my lawful entry into my workplace. I am asking again for legal justification. Blake's voice rises. Comply or face detention. His words echo across the steps, absorbed by the marble facade. The situation escalates further when a slight movement from Daniel, simply stepping forward, is interpreted as resistance. Blake leans in, warning again, hand on his utility belt. Daniel's eyes remain steady, cataloging the unfolding moment. Every angle, every witness, every subtle detail is noted. The security camera turns slowly, capturing each second. Across the street, neighbors quietly raise their phones. Step back, Blake orders, louder this time. Daniel does not argue, does not shout. He repeats calmly, "This is my building. Standing in my way without legal basis is unlawful." The psychological pressure is intense. The officer's certainty clashes with Daniel's composed assertion of authority and law. A moment of physical intimidation is imminent, though no violence has yet occurred. The ordinary entrance to a federal building is now a battlefield of bias versus procedure. Every passerby, every camera, and every word spoken will become critical evidence. And in this moment, injustice is being executed not through violence, but through the misuse of authority. The standoff changes when Daniel Carter finally produces his federal credentials. A gleaming badge and identification card are held deliberately, catching the morning sunlight. The officer's eyes widen slightly. Lieutenant Margaret Hayes arrives. 27 years on the force, known for her calm decisiveness. She looks at Carter, then at the officers. "Director Carter," she says, realizing immediately who he is. The officers stiffen. Faces pale, hands fidget. Their confidence has evaporated. Simmons Lieutenant Hayes turns to Blake. "Return all personal property immediately. Notify your supervisor. Full statement now. There is no excuse." Carter remains composed. "You exercised authority today. Authority without justification will be examined fully." The neighbors' phones continue to record. The event is immortalized in video, time-stamped and undeniable. The officers' expressions shift from confusion to fear. They understand the magnitude of the misjudgment. Carter steps past them, entering his building. Each step measured, deliberate. His presence alone asserts authority now, but this time backed by law and documentation. The balance of power has reversed. What began as a minor confrontation has become a clear illustration of accountability and consequence. Justice, silent but certain, has arrived. The footage captured by neighbors' phones spreads online rapidly. Within hours, thousands view it, replaying the moment Daniel Carter, the director of federal law enforcement, is blocked from entering his own building. Media outlets highlight the incident, emphasizing both the blatant misuse of authority and the significance of the victim's position. Legal analysts point out procedural violations, improper escalation, and potential civil rights violations. A formal complaint is filed against officers Blake and Cole. Allegations include obstruction, intimidation, and abuse of power. Each claim is supported by timestamps, video evidence, and eyewitness statements. Internal Affairs launches a full investigation. Both officers are placed on administrative leave. Interviews confirm failure to verify identity, improper assumptions, and escalation without justification. Public scrutiny intensifies. Advocacy groups call for accountability and policy review. Demonstrations occur outside the federal building. The video is discussed widely, illustrating the consequences of unchecked authority. Within weeks, the investigation concludes. Officers Blake and Cole are disciplined, one terminated, the other suspended. Departmental reforms are implemented, including mandatory de-escalation training, bias recognition programs, and stricter protocols for identity verification. Daniel Carter does not seek personal retribution. His focus is systemic, ensuring that authority is exercised within the law and that similar incidents are prevented. Justice is enforced through transparency, procedural integrity, and the persistent assertion of legal rights. The incident becomes a reference point for law enforcement training and civil rights education. What occurred at the entrance of the federal building is a textbook example of constitutional limits. Under the Fourth Amendment, a person cannot be obstructed or required to produce identification on their own property without reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. The threshold of one's workplace is legally protected, and officers must have justification grounded in law. The escalation that unfolded was fueled by implicit bias. Calm, confident professionalism was interpreted as defiance. Bias can distort judgment, causing law enforcement officers to overreact even in the absence of evidence. Training alone does not eliminate these automatic assumptions. Accountability and verification are crucial. For individuals confronted with similar encounters, key strategies include remaining calm, asking for the legal basis of any demands, and documenting the interaction if legal. Do not resist physically. Compliance under protest accompanied by precise documentation strengthens legal protection. If credentials or authority are questioned, present them deliberately. Request that supervisors or higher-ranking officers be contacted. Preserve all video or photographic evidence. Seek legal counsel immediately after the encounter to understand rights and next steps. The systemic lesson is clear. Agencies must implement protocols for identity verification, de-escalation training, and independent oversight for complaints. Public scrutiny, legal knowledge, and documentation serve as essential checks on power. Daniel Carter's poise and legal expertise ensured that justice was possible. Thousands without such resources face similar violations daily. Education awareness and structural safeguards are vital to ensure that authority is exercised lawfully. Justice is not solely punitive. It is a mechanism to protect every citizen's rights and maintain the integrity of the system. Every individual, regardless of race or status, must be able to assert their rights safely and effectively.